Hello and welcome everyone. It is another time for us again to sit on a global roundtable to bring you headlines from Nigeria and around the globe. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Well, so many things happening in Nigeria and of course in the world at large. But then, would we be able to talk about everything just in a sitting? No. I don't think so. No matter what we do, that wouldn't be possible, especially in the era of internet, in this digital age where informations are flying everywhere. But then we will bring you some major headlines on Global Roundtable today. As a matter of fact, I'm being joined today by two seasoned journalists, and of course we will be doing justice to the headlines that we have today. To my left-hand side, even though both of them are sitting at my left-hand side, I have Priscilla Obasi, a journalist, joining us on Global Roundtable today. It's good to have you on Global Roundtable.
Thank you. I feel so honored sitting in between two wonderful gentlemen and seasoned journalists.
Yes, this is the first time, right?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
It is.
On Global Roundtable.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And of course, the man that knows what's happening right there on the political scene is with us today. The last time he was with us, he was always referring us to what they say in his place. And I think we're going to be hearing more of that today as he drives home the points to the latter. Joining us on Global Roundtable today is Ubong Usoro. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you so much, Ramsey. Always a pleasure to be on.
You look very sharp today, very sharp as usual, as always. Well, 2027 election has been drawn very close, and that has stirred a lot of reactions. But then, you know, it's like INEC is minding their business. Because if you remember, even when the issue of, okay, we're preparing for election, where e-transmission, paper, whatever, manual, they were just focused on the timetable. And that's to tell you of how ready, of course, INEC is. Thus, by the way, let's get into talking about some very important topics that we have for you today, beginning from ADC and NNPP rejecting the new Electoral Act. And somebody may be wondering what's their rationale for rejecting the Electoral Act. But then some people will say, well, despite the protest, this is what we got. Other persons are arguing that this Electoral Act is the best so far. Some people said, well, with the clause and with everything that is attached there, even though the president has signed, there is nothing we can do anymore. But ADC and NNPP rejecting the new Electoral Act. Ubong, are they sounding from the side of opposition? Are you surprised you were thinking it was going to be ADC and PDP, probably. Exactly. But you're seeing ADC and NNPP. So what does that speak to you?
Right, so for me, I feel that the ADC as a party, they're actually very clear as to where they stand concerning the Electoral Act. Yesterday we saw that meeting at Transcorp. I was invited for the meeting, but I couldn't attend physically. But I got the visuals from my colleagues who were there. The ADC position is that the electronic transmission should not be optional in our electoral system. And they're saying that they've seen series of rigging and using the just concluded FCT election that was held on the 21st of February as a case study. They do not think that they can participate fully and can participate knowing fully well that from what they are seeing, there could be glitches here and there, and there could be manipulation in our systems. And yesterday you saw David Mark, the chairman of the party, at that press conference reading Shola, the secretary of the party, former governor of Osun State. He was there seconding and saying, this is what we want. We saw Peter Obi, former Vice President Abubakar Galadima, who incidentally, Abubakar Galadima is a chieftain of the NNPP. right? So we saw more like a marriage, a convergence between the NNPP and the ADC, because at this point, I think we will look at the national leader of the ADC. He may be tilting towards the ADC. The national leader of the NNPP, which is Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, it looks as if he's tilting towards the ADC more than the APC at this moment. Remember that his political godson, Gabi, has actually defected from the NNPP to the APC, and he said that was the darkest day and should be called a day of betrayal, right? So it means that he's finding more closure, because we saw two political parties coming together to take a position and say we will not want this. But that said, I feel it's also a failure on the side of the NNPP and the side of the ADC, because this is a legislative process, and at the last count, the ADC have about 19 members, both at the National Assembly, that's House of Representatives, and the Senate. All right, so they have members. The APC, the senator representing the FCT, Ireti Kengibe, is a member of the ADC. Right, she made her position known too, but they would have interfered more at that level, because this is a legislative process. They would have tried convincing their, their colleagues to see things this way. Maybe they would have made more impact, mobilizing and interfacing at that level, lobbying at that level. And we see this across board. There are countries, for instance, Nigeria. At that time, we heard Nigeria paying over 18 billion naira to try to lobby, in favor. And in the US Parliament, and people do this all over the world. Israel has their professional lobby groups that you can pay for them to persuade lawmakers, show them reasons, groups that are respected, and so that they can swear decisions in your favor. For me, I think that road would have gotten more, vibrant than calling a press conference and saying we are. But it's also good that they've stated their position very rightly, so that we are not in support of the Electoral Act as signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the hypocrisy in this is that most of the persons that were there at that particular meeting were people that were there also when former President Muhammad Buhari refused to sign the amended Electoral Act into law in 2016. In 2017, he never signed it until after the 2019 general election. He signed it because he knew that's the amended act that has been re-amended now. He signed it because he knew he was not contesting again in 2023.
But, do you know that a lot of people were speculating that this act was not going to be signed until after 2027 election?
Yeah, and so I think
just the way Buhari did
I
that,
think
Tinubu was going to do the same.
You should
President.
give Buhari some kudos, because I Tinubu some kudos, because I have a video now, where Rotimi Amechi, while speaking at Transcorp yesterday, he said that during his tenure as minister, there were ministers who went to Buhari and said, don't sign this into law. And eventually they were able to convince alleged former President Muhammad Buhari, and he didn't sign it into law until after, when he won the second term, right? So you should give Tinubu some, the senator representing Bayelsa, I think Bayelsa North, former governor of Bayelsa State, has been very, vibrant. He said this, Silva, not Silva, the governor after Silva. The governor said that we've won, because in democracy, it is negotiations. You've won at some level. Remember, at the first instance, what was included in the revised version? Remember, the House of Representatives have agreed on electoral voting. It was, not electoral voting, electronic transmission. It was when it went to Senate for the harmonized version, because the both houses must harmonize their version of the bill, and the bill will now be sent to the president. The president will now assent it. It becomes an act. It was when it went to the Senate now had reasoning, and some of these things were valid. The Senate said we cannot totally base our electoral system on electronic transfer. Reason being that, one, there are places in Nigeria that we do not have network.
On real time, you mean?
Real-time transmission. There are places in Nigeria we do not have network. And it is true. What happens to those people at that time? Manipulation could be done at those moments. Right? They mentioned infrastructure. We don't have and they said, okay, let's not do it. But people protested. We went to the National Assembly. You know, a lot of energy was expounded into it. The Senate now had a meeting. Remember, it was an emergency meeting that they called emergency sitting. And when they had the emergency sitting, they said, okay, so electronic transmission of results is approved. But in cases where INEC feels, in cases where INEC knows that it is not possible, then we revert to the manual. In those cases, that's a win. It's not so. They've shifted grounds, and this is a legislative system. You lobby to get things done. It's not. You don't just wake up one day and say it doesn't happen. Even if we say we are looking for a place-based site in the country, lobbying must be done. That's why when I see some people from the Southeast say some things about, I just say no. You have the power, because it's not even about the majority. If you have one person that has a case that is very strong, these are reasonable people. You cannot tell me that lawmakers are not reasonable. You reason with them, still they fear most lawmakers. You
reason with reasonable people. All right. You know, while Usoro was speaking, he talked about the impossibility of real-time transmission of election results, and the challenge, all right, which he has attributed to poor network, that is internet service provision. But now, you know, during that period where there were a lot of debates concerning this electoral real-time transmission, that word real-time, I need to put it, because that is where the argument emanated from. Telcos came up to say it's possible. So what does that mean? And does the federal government have, complaining of infrastructure, do you see the federal government having enough, for instance, to run fiber or maybe a mobile mast to interiors where they have already done the research to know that the network is not strong? Because some people were arguing to say, well, it's not as if there is no network completely, but the strength of the network might not be able to do this transmission real time. So what do you think, putting all of these issues together, putting all of these factors into consideration?
I want to start by saying what the ADC and NNPP are doing at this point is a proof of democracy. I think that's the real coalition. If you want to ask me, coalition is not people.
So you're suspecting ADC and NNPP may collapse together and say, let's fight.
I think that's what I see as coalition. You stay in your party, I stay in my party, but we can say, let's bring a candidate and we join our forces.
Well, that would be beautiful.
Well, that is my own perspective, and that's what I hope to see. But I am happy to see that an ADC and an NNPP are coming out to join forces. Ubong rightly said that some of the members of these parties were in the House. But the thing is, there's a majority and there's a minority, and we cannot rule that out. Yes, we are in the House together, but at the end of the day, majority carries the vote. So whether I agree or not, I have to, go with what the Senate leader chooses based on majority. It doesn't stop the fact that I do not agree with it. So I can take my grievances out of that space and come to my party, and then I lend my voice there. Since the House has said majority is carrying the vote, I don't know how they concluded, because in that whole sitting, we saw senators, come out to. There was a rowdy session at some point. It was clear that people did not really agree with this. People tried to lend their voice, but somehow the conclusion was made. I don't know where they made it from. But let's be logical now, right? Let's not use sentiments to judge this whole thing. Real-time transmission of results. For me, what I see in this bill is, I see a very beautiful bill. Yes, this act, this electoral act, if these parties can really look at it closely, what did they say? Another thing is that it's actually vague. When you leave INEC to determine whether or not they want to use it, what is the transmission of results now that is available? Uploading to the IREV from polling units. Do we really need a stable network to upload to the IREV from a polling unit? You do not need. You can upload and wait till you get to a place that has a stable network, and it goes eventually. So it's a win-win. It is left for parties to put structures in place to ensure that results indeed are uploaded, whether they are uploaded from the polling unit, whether they are uploaded and it eventually goes through when they get to the collation centers. But structures need to be put in place. There needs to be synergy between party agents, between people that are allowed into the collation centers, between I know of course ad hoc staff are not part of it, but we need clear synergy between candidates of different levels, right? So political parties at this point, I think they need to really work on structures, because you cannot tell me that INEC will say we are cancelling these results and you actually uploaded. Do you understand? Let's look at the FCT, the just concluded FCT elections. How many results were eventually uploaded to the IREV? Were we alerted? At what point do you now say at the collation center? Did you hear the INEC chairman say, oh, at this center we did not have network? We didn't hear all of that, those discrepancies.
Abuja is a city.
Yes, we didn't hear, oh, this is Abuja. We're not talking about villages right now. Do you understand? We're talking about Abuja. If we're talking about networks, at least we should expect a good network from some
FCT.
urban centers in Abuja. So I didn't really see, results calling, trying to compare, or give reasons why they had to use the Form EC8A, why they didn't use the IREV. And one of the political candidates from the YPP said, even up till now, some results were not uploaded to the IREV. Even up till now, you will go to the IREV, you would see that for a segment that is supposed to, carry the chairmanship positions, you will see the results from councillorship there. So who actually checkmates these things? Who ensures that indeed there was no network? That is why we did not use this. We didn't hear all of those details. So I believe that this is part of the reasons why these parties are concerned. Remember, we just had an elections, and it is from the review of what has happened in the FCT local council polls that they are expressing their worries. I really want to believe so. So at this point, if there is anything like having a formal channel to express grievances, where you have stakeholders come together and give you reviews, you have the INEC chairman sit with these stakeholders and be open enough to hear their reviews. We have seen videos, we saw videos circulating on the internet on the elections day, people saying, making claims of, being thrown tear gases at and all of that. Who would sit, how do we sit down and review the FCT elections and see that indeed everything went smoothly? Indeed, the IREV, results that were, uploaded were used. Indeed, we did not have network. That is why we did not use this. I have not seen all of those details, and it is a basis for concern, if you ask me.
Right. So I just like to add something now. When we say e-transmission of results, we are not saying e-uploading of results. There are two different things, because INEC since 2019 has been doing uploading of results.
Yes, and that
it is part of their act. It is part of INEC Act that for every polling unit, when election results are being signed by party agents, and the collation officer at that particular, the presiding officer at that particular polling unit assents to it that this is the corrected version, you should snap the result. So it is not about uploading of result. But what happened is that we saying that election announcement of winners will be based on that's the transmission now. It will be based on the figures that we have collected online to announce the winner. No, that is what. No, that is what it means. It's not uploading of results. We've been uploading results even before we started talking about this. But we are saying using it as a tool of announcing those who have won, because like you mentioned, there are places like till today
elections have not been uploaded.
Have not been uploaded.
Yes. So
because of technical.
My question is, who tallies?
Because no, you don't need to tally it. So because online, when you upload the result, it has a way of getting tracking itself, because they are digital, they adds up, they are portal. So just like using spreadsheets, you don't need to go and add the figures again, and the figures are correct. It doesn't, so we now basing our election. If that is the case, we may need to wait some 2, 3, 4 days. We may need to, so it will prolong our process. That's what I said. Okay, so for those places that we have these challenges, we can, use the manual ones that we see, because from the manual ones are still followed up. Remember that the polling, the centers, the political parties have their agents at the polling unit. They also have agents at the coalition center, and they have their situation rooms. So they also have these tallies. So whatever is announced is what is still being followed up manually because of the issues, the peculiarity of us as a people.
For what is on ground and what is on the IREF to tally.
Don't you think that's when,
because what happens is at least the people before now, you know, that's why people wait until results are counted. All right, until the ballot is being counted. They know that in unit A, ADC or APC or NNPP is leading. Have people write it down.
Yes.
All right. If what they are uploading, let's don't use transmission now, what they are uploading is corresponding with
what
with the manual, with what is there. It will be a different ball game.
Yeah, but we're not using that to determine who is announced as a winner.
So why do we even have an uploading of results if we're not using it?
No.
Why is there such?
Why is there talking about the uploading? So what we are saying now is that before the uploading was not mandatory, but now
it's mandatory.
It is mandatory in places where it can be uploaded. And if you look at the Abuja elections, as of 6 o'clock that day, at least over 70%. And I spoke with
uploaded.
Yes, I spoke with many of the candidates. So over 70% were uploaded, and you can cross-check with what was uploaded with what was announced by the field.
So let me tell you.
So let's not try to demonize our system.
No, let me tell you what I heard firsthand from one of the candidates, one of the FCT AMAC chairmanship candidates. He said, we did not get enough tags for our party agents. We requested 50, let me just give an example. We requested 50 tags. We have 50, what's it called, agents. And INEC decides to give us 20. So it means that at the collation centers, we cannot be represented. It means that at some levels, we cannot even know what is happening. And I don't know, and I tried to ask, I said, why did this happen? Did you guys ensure that you registered timely enough for you to have the desired number of party agents? And he said, yes, they registered on time, and INEC decided to give them a fewer number of tags instead of the required.
Those are institutional issues.
So imagine that I am supposed to be at the collation center as a party agent, and I am not there because I don't have a tag.
So
I don't believe. I'm not holding brief for INEC now, but I don't believe that there's any party that would have contested in that particular election, the FCT election. I will not have at least 1 or 2 persons at different coalition centers. I don't believe that.
No, it was a reality. I'm telling you what.
I don't believe, because even those of us who are let me come. Those of us who are from the media, there are media institutions that apply for 50. INEC in its wisdom cannot grant everybody all the access and say you say 50%.
You should have one at least in each ward.
Yes, you should.
And what polling unit?
You should. And what political parties had.
But some people did not have.
Those are issues that can be channeled. And remember that there's a place that this candidate will sit down. See, you know, some persons, you know, always look at a process and try to look at it was not good. But there are issues that we could talk about. In this last FCT election that we had, a lot of political parties, their supporters did not come out to vote. There was a lot of voter apathy. And for somebody like me that moved around the world, if you even go to those polling units, you see some of the parties that were able to mobilize their candidates to sites. They had good numbers of people voting for them. Candidates
and others like they don't have at all.
There are parties that did not even have at some polling unit. They didn't have one person vote for them. And some of those parties today are saying they didn't have agents. True. So there are some of these parties, they didn't have one person vote for them. So
we're talking about the system now. Let's talk about INEC a little bit. This is the second time I'm hearing a complaint about INEC. I think the APC youth leader, of AMAC, all right, had said on this program that voters card was not printed. People were not able to get their voters card when we're already counting days to the election.
When now we're
hearing they said they registered.
No, I think they said INEC apologized. Also, according to what he said, that they were going to make it available. But I've not seen him since then to see. But I think what we are saying on the whole is that this election all right, is a litmus test somehow for INEC as far as this electoral bill, okay, electoral act is concerned. All right, so let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what will happen. Meanwhile, are you aware that the date of the election has been shifted to January? Are you aware?
Right. You know, when the timetable came out, it was February, and a lot of persons were already complaining. We had Morik, the Muslim rights, one of the councils, made a statement and said that Muslims will be fasting by February. Right.
That's this very
by next year, yes, February 2027, and it's not a good time.
But we had elections
people
in February
also complained.
this year.
The ADC, African Democratic Congress, wrote a press statement.
Nothing was done about it.
Yeah, they wrote a press statement, and maybe that is what INEC is looking at.
Oh,
this thing
really? So it's only important for the presidential elections.
No, these things are institutional things.
Is that our priority?
Wait,
because I know people complain.
The ADC had how many years to talk about this? They didn't talk about it. Maybe just 2-3 months when INEC is almost done with the planning. Okay. They came out with a statement and said they don't think some Muslims, the elections are held in this. For this FCT election, the plan for this FCT election started 1 year ago. And INEC had different activities leading up to the election. The same way that INEC today have brought out a timetable for the 2027 general election.
So don't you think
and they have different activities. And you did not, as a political party, you did not, as a pressure group, sit down to think about it and talk about it. A month, 2 months at a time, and you now brought out a position. These are institutional things.
Don't you think it was safer moving it forward than taking it backwards? Because
we are past that level now. We are now looking into the future.
When you talk about elections,
I'm not saying INEC is perfect, right? INEC is a typical Nigerian institution.
Why move it backwards? Is the question.
Why
not?
Because some persons have talked about it at 2027. They want everybody to be carried along, and they want everybody to vote. Let's not repeat.
January is the only month for voting. Is that what you're saying? That's the only month where everybody will vote.
If Nigerians feel that January is not good, they can also pressure INEC. INEC will listen. That is what I'm saying.
Well, Nigerians have been pressuring INEC.
And what months? They said February was not good, and they brought it to January. If you say January is not good,
they can bring it to December.
They can bring it to even December or March.
December this year, right?
December next year.
Because that's how it looks like it's a backward thing. No, now, the implications of this, let me say this. The implication of moving an election backwards, it has, lots of implications. Number one, there are upcoming political parties, for crying out loud. It puts them on the edge. People are trying to raise money for campaigns. Do you understand? People are trying to plan around a lot of people are trying to build structure. Listen up. People are trying to build structure. It makes it tighter for them. We know that the ruling party has all the structures possible. We see them putting up kudos to them. I see them doing a timely, structuring and grassroots mobilization. But the question is it time for campaigns yet? That is the question. There is a timetable.
So who is campaigning?
We all know. We all know what is happening. It's one of the things that some of these other parties complained about in this FCT polls. We're not allowed to campaign, but we saw the APC campaigning here and there.
No, APC is not campaigning. You don't have data to that fact. The same things APC is doing.
I spoke with one of the APC politicians, and he says, "Oh, we're not campaigning. It's just some good guys that are just trying. They are the ones in front of it. They are good citizens, or they are good party. They are friends.
Loyal party.
They are friends to these people. So it's just on a free will thing. That's what they say. It's a free will thing. Nobody sent them. But we know what is happening. They are pushing your party. They are pushing a particular candidate. They are saying courtesy of one person, courtesy of the other person. But there's a billboard somewhere. There's a video circulating on the internet now that had the Renewed Hope logo everywhere on it, and it's moving around the whole city. And you tell me that is not campaign? What do you call it if you don't call it campaign?
No, Renewed Hope has been there since President came in office.
We know. Okay, what is the city boys movement, grassroots mobilization? What's it about?
I think it's a mobilization.
But we have village boys movement. Or you've not seen village boys movement.
No, I know.
City boys movement gave birth to
village boys movement. It's just a reaction. Village boys movement is a reaction to city boys movement.
See, in Nigeria, let's not play as if, sometimes when politicians come, and when they move over to the other side, they now change and they start talking as if they've not known what is happening. as far as I'm concerned, there's no political party that has started campaign yet.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
And
if you feel there are of course we have the obedient movement, and they've been very
which has been there for a very long time.
Yes, they came out last month. Somebody I respect so much, Honorable Tanko, he came out. Mo, who is my friend, is the Secretary General, and obedient movement. They are very clear. He said, Peter Obi, if you are not a presidential candidate, we will know that we will be a presidential candidate. Okay. And the body language of the group, they've been going to
which party is Peter Obi as we speak?
ADC. He's been going to places.
Are you sure? Is he a card-carrying member of ADC?
Yes, he's registered in ADC. He's been going to places. He's been.
The reason I'm asking is because some persons are
visiting states.
It's not a member of ADC.
Those may be internal party issues, but we know he's recognized as the party national secretary, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Most of the time, he's been going to places, giving orphanages, going to women, giving monies here and there. People can tag that to be campaign.
Is he carrying some van and calling it the obedient movement?
Buy a bottle of brand.
Have you not seen vans that are branded with you've not seen vans that are branded with obedient?
Yes. I don't think I've seen. Have you seen them? Have you seen
vans?
Now
that we're talking about it, now that we're talking about
renewed hope, I've not seen.
Ubo and Priscilla.
Maybe we'll play it on the program.
We also look for obedient vans.
Look for it.
Now that we're talking about Peter Obi, can we go to Edo State a little bit?
Okay.
Let's talk about the alleged assassination attempt. As a matter of fact, people were suspecting that the government of Edo State. I think I had a guest, all right, from Edo State cabinet yesterday on issues, and he said it is not the government. Even the spokesperson of Edo State came out to say the same thing. But on the papers today, all right, as far as the Obi assassination attempt is concerned, APC absorbs self, all right, and they are blaming ADC. The same thing that the APC chieftain said here yesterday. So I was imagining, we only know that there are crises in Labour Party, PDP. ADC is just coming together. ADC have been there, but people are coming together now to make it more relevant, all right, than it was before. Just the way Peter Obi entered Labour Party, and we started hearing about Labour Party everywhere, even though it was there for a very long time now. So can we say it is ADC and ADC that attacked ADC in Edo State?
Yeah, well, that's quite funny. It was looking at the whole situation in Edo State. I would say that the way the matter is being swept under the carpet, for me, honestly, it just shows that, we don't have a working system. How can someone come out with such an allegation with evidences clearly, and then nobody's talking about it? Everywhere is quiet. Imagine we saw a coup attempt on our president, right? And we saw the reaction that followed suit. There was tension in the country. Yes, I'm not trying to compare him to Peter Obi, but every life matter at the end of the day. Whether it's that girl in the village that is being terrorized by hoodlums, whether it's that man in somewhere that is being kidnapped, every Nigerian life matter.
About 3 lives were involved in that attack.
Every life matter.
And of course,
so why are we not talking about this thing? It was quickly swept under the carpet, if you ask me. I don't know whether to call it bullying. Honestly, I don't want to use the wrong words, but it is unfair to a human. From every angle, I think it is unfair. It is not just about a Peter Obi. They say injustice to one is injustice to all. What you fail to talk about today, somehow tomorrow you might be in that shoe. It's Nigeria we're living in. The way the coin flips, the way things happen fast. You are trying to side. Was it what's his name? What's his name? Sheyi Law. Sheyi Law made some, grave statements on one of the shows he went for, and I saw him come out to apologize. Yes, he made an apology video to say, I am sorry. What did he say? He said that insecurity has reduced drastically in this. I'm just paraphrasing what he said, in this tenure. And Nigerians went for him, and he came out to admit that, I'm sorry.
It was just a joke.
It was just it was not a joke. But when he said it, he felt like Nigerians would just sleep over it. They would just forget about it. Until we saw people come out to make videos. A woman came out to say, "My husband was killed in cold blood. My husband was kidnapped." We saw victims coming out to cry, and I mean, it was evident, it was glaring that these things are just whether you want to politicize things, you should be humane enough to not say some kind of things, because the real victims are there. Because it has not happened to you does not mean it does not exist. Right. You don't know the reality of this thing. So people flooded the internet with their experiences. I see people came out crying of how their spouses were murdered by kidnappers after paying ransoms. I'm not speaking. You check the internet; it's there. So we cannot sweep insecurity under the carpet. No, we will not. We are calling the US to come and help us.
I was almost becoming emotional.
I'm telling you, we are calling.
I almost started crying.
Let me talk about the subject matter. You know, that's the ADC stakeholder visit in Edo, right? There are two sides to every story, so we don't run with the danger of a single story, right? Those AIC did a report, and in the report we saw stakeholders of the ADC. One of them is a former chief whip at the National Assembly, who said that there is a crisis in the ADC.
In Edo State?
In Edo State, because the former APC chairman, John Oyego, when he came into the ADC, he became the leader of the party. And in a way, he decided to start working with people he knows. And he left behind people who have been supporting and funding the party over time. So what happened was that when these persons went for a meeting at his residence, they were not allowed entry. And that video is there. I just mentioned the media house that did that report, AIT, right, our sister media house. They went for a meeting and they were told that their names were not on the list of people that were invited for the meeting.
For the defection, probably, of Apata.
Then they said, no, the meeting...
defection.
And they started altercations. Chairs were broken, people... And you know how these things could be. That was a precursor to what happened the next day. And they were very clear to this. The APC has also come out to say, this is what happened, that it was an internal issue between the ADC. And they've said that. No, let me finish what I'm saying now.
Okay.
And if you look, you notice that these persons involved are not, let's just say, ordinary Nigerians. We understand insecurity in the country. We understand the battle that we've been battling with insecurity and how the efforts that the government is making, right? We are not there yet as a country. But have you seen Mr. Peter Obi move? He doesn't. Mr. Peter Obi does not move like every other. He's an elite. He's a privileged Nigerian. Those involved, John Oyegu is a former governor. They have security personnel attached to them. All right? So it wasn't like a confrontation, like, we've heard stories and all of that. And most of those persons, they have their own security team. And these security teams are also provided by the same Nigeria, because most of them are still moving with security men that are paid with our taxpayers' monies. Peter Obi, as a former governor, is entitled to that security. DSS, policemen, John Oyegun, the same, and some of the elites that are members of those political parties. So it was not like it happened to members of ADC on the street and we say, oh, it was... No, these are people that also have the security cover, right? Okay. So there was an issue in the party that escalated, to that point where we saw... and the next thing is that they tilt out... The narrative seemed to be tilted. By the way, I don't agree with that narrative or with that suggestion that Priscilla has made, that it was swept under the carpet. It was not swept under the carpet. Olumide is a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association. If there's anybody that should if there's anybody that something should be... No, let's leave that one. Let's leave that one. If there's anybody...
In Labour Party, he
was the governor. Yes, I know, but I'm talking about somebody that knows the law.
Okay,
and nothing can be swept under the carpet. Because he has a connection to make sure that these things are not swept under the carpet. Right? if you feel that there's a criminal proceeding, you write. You don't even need to be a Peter Obi. You don't need to. If you feel that you're right, and you feel, oh, the government have not seen. If you feel that your right has been tampered with, if the ADC, the leaders and those in their party feels that it was the APC that orchestrated this, they should. That is what it felt like. No, if they just a minute, man, just a minute. If they feel that it was another party that orchestrated it, let them file in criminal proceedings with evidence, and people will stand trials. I'm not in support of the media trial because it is demonizing our democracy. This democracy, people died for it, people fought for it, and we should not demonize it. If it was an internal party affair, they should also bring out evidence. So they also owe Nigeria a duty to investigate it and bring explanation.
Well, are we going to depend on a report or an investigation? Our police now depend on AIT for investigations. That's what we're saying.
No, to balance the story. I'm not saying. No, the media has a right. So the media has a right.
Are we depending on them to carry out investigation?
No, the media has a right to also air the view. You mentioned a part of the story where the people, Peter Obi and them, said something. I'm telling you a reliable source that has been over the years with their credibility in stake. And people also came and said, no, this was not happening.
You don't think members of the party.
So there are the two sides of the story. So let's balance it.
I'm not even seeing this as a
So
political
if you believe Peter Obi's side, why should I not believe this other side?
I am not seeing this as a political tussle. I feel like our security forces owe Nigerians explanations. What happened?
And these guys can fast track it more. No, they can't.
The guys
they are. No, they are the ones involved.
Let's just what we'll do is let's just keep our fingers crossed, and it's not too late yet. They can still speak. It could be that investigation is ongoing, even if it is whether it is internal or external.
Even in the US,
crisis.
there are cases that take years.
Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what will happen. Can we now talk about the People's Democratic Party a little bit? Because Governor Makinde made a vow, all right? And you know who Makinde is as far as the two factions of the People's Democratic Party is concerned. Well, he said, 2027 politics, I will not leave PDP. Governor Makinde vows. You know what it means? When they say somebody vow, when something is a vow, you know what it means. So we're talking about defection now, and we're looking at the state of the People's Democratic Party. 2027, I don't know what's going to happen. 2030 or 31, as the case may be, we don't know where the People's Democratic Party is going to be, because the level of defection, even up to today, was if interior also. We're still seeing defections. We don't know if he's going to be the last man standing. Can he run the PDP alone? Probably. Or can we say this vow is worth it, as in somebody who has the political party at heart? Because some people tell you our political parties are just vehicles, they don't have ideology. People have their perspective to all of these things. So this vow, what does it mean to you, Priscilla?
Well, in all of this, I respect someone like Wike, someone that has stayed, loyal. It says a lot about him. He might have his whole whatever that I don't agree with, but I like the loyalty he has played, in the PDP. And I'm also liking that too from Governor Makinde. I mean, this is a test. It is a big test on politicians that move from party to party are not usually respected. In my opinion, well, it is my opinion. Somehow you just feel like when there's a rainy day here, the person is likely to change his mind. So there has to be some level of tenacity you would have. And
so it's like Wike is proving that you can be in this party and chop in this party.
Maybe not be in this party. Wike is trying to prove that he's not someone that moves from party to party. And
they can work for another party, being in
well, party. We cannot take out the fact that he has been working for another party. But I mean, it is tempting to say, I want to, at the level and the position that Wike has. I'm not trying to shift. I'm coming back to Makinde. It's tempting to say, okay, let me just go here now, since everybody knows it. You can be that tempted, but something that has kept him this long needs to be studied. Whatever has kept him, and I think it's something that Makinde sees. to...
You know, Makinde and Wike were in...
Yes,
in the,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
G5 governors.
Exactly. It's the same thing that I think Makinde is seeing. He knows something that Wike knows, and somehow he's wanting to, you know, face it squarely with him. That's what I was saying.
It's like all the G5 governors are still in PDP, right? Ubong.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I feel that for me, I feel that when you look at people who have the constant movement of politicians from one political party to the other is not helping our democracy. Because for me, they all mark, I'm so interested in this democracy. I'm so interested to see, because I know democracy is the only system where anybody can have a voice, right? We could talk about the failures of our system. Yes, we've done this, but there are things you could not say prior to 1999, and you can say it now. And because we are in a system where we are in a system that if you are loved with your people, we talk about this rigging. Sometimes people say it is rigged, but I'm telling you, like for instance, you go for a councillorship and you are loved by your people, and your people are overwhelming. You cannot lose election. You cannot rig.
You cannot even manipulate the election.
You cannot manipulate.
The election is at the grassroots.
Yes,
that's what I feel sometimes.
Elections are at the grassroots. When people are strong at the grassroots level, it takes how will you even start
the drama, the way they carry the council on their head,
80 over 20. And now, like the APC as a political party, they are moving more towards direct primaries. And so how can you rig that process? Because these are accredited members that will come and stand in the line, and there are evidences to it. If you don't have people support you, you will know on that day. All right, so we could talk about the failures, but I feel that the PDP has contributed so much to this country.
Yeah, sure.
Right? When we came back to democracy in 1999, after what happened in 1993, and in 1997 when General Sani Abacha passed on, Adusalami Abubakar took over the reins on power and started the transition process. The PDP was formed as a party that was pan-national. Right, it has spread, it cuts across every nook and cranny of this country. Till today, there is no village in Nigeria that does not have a PDP member, and that's on stats. PDP is they used to be the largest political party. Some members of the party still say yes, in Africa. Some members of the party still say they have the largest and widest network of structures all across Nigeria. Look at any political party today that have viable politicians. They were in the PDP. They cut their political teeth in the PDP. So such a platform for me is not a platform that should be abandoned and left aside. And we've seen Governor Seyi Makinde. You know, you could talk about, is it by conviction? It could be one. It could be him saying, and they're men of principle. And we've seen many of them who say, we'll ride and we'll die with this particular structure. If we sink with it. If we sell with it. And we've seen such men. So it could be that he's one of such men. It could also be that he has looked at the options available and he knows that he will not get it better elsewhere than being in the PDP. Because by and large, the PDP is still very big. In the last FCT local council election, the PDP won over 14 councilorships. In different places. They won councillorship in Kuje, in Gwagwalada. That's a party, despite all of the troubles. That's the party we are talking about. So it's still a very national party. In fact, the only local council area that was won by an opposition party in FCT was won by the PDP. So it shows you the level of vibrancy in the party.
PDP stepped down in some councils, or else something else would have even happened. Probably, who knows?
Staying with the party offers him more at this moment, because you become the national leader of the party. They virtually little or nobody to contest the power with you, apart from people like Nyesom Wike, who we know that he's not leaving the PDP anytime soon, and you can take his words for that, because Nyesom Wike has proven if he says he's here, and that has been his track record over the years.
And he said he will continue to be in PDP.
He has said it. So apart from people like that, that are fighting for the leadership of the party, but also it also brings me back to one thing: the shamelessness of our politicians. Governor Fintiri, the governor of Adamawa State, he was the chairman just 2 months ago of the National Organizing Convention Committee of the PDP. He was in charge of that convention at Ibadan. And today he has left the PDP to the ADC. What a shame. What a shame, right? Is it that 2 months ago
you didn't know? To the ADC or the APC?
To the APC.
Okay.
You didn't know, is it that 2 months ago you didn't know that you were going to go to the APC? Even some of the people
And some of them are trying to secure their next
Not
term.
everyone has.
No, this is a second-term governor. Let's not even talk about that. So it speaks to the character of a politician, and we should not just and say it's secure second term. What does secure second term mean?
Well, I think not every politician has a thick skin. We are all different at the end of the day. What I would see,
they always want to be relevant.
So yes.
So they are not. You cannot be relevant if you are in the opposition. If Bola Tinubu followed this bandwagon,
no, he was in his party until he took to power.
There was a time in the southwest, all of the states were taken over. AC states were taken over by the PDP. In fact, we've heard reports that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, he said his former boss, Olusegun Obasanjo, gave him a marching order to make sure Lagos becomes an APC state. But he stood his ground. He stood his ground, a PDP state. He stood his ground.
All right, let's go global a little bit. You know, sometimes when you hear some things, there's the way you feel. Let's talk about Ukraine, the Ukraine war. All right, Ukraine says over Ukraine and Russia and Ukraine war, right? Ukraine says over 1,700 Africans were deceived into Russia army.
Right, I saw this report.
What is responsible for that? Even if you want to jackpot a country where there is war, is that where you want to go to?
Yeah.
Some just returned in South Africa a few days ago. Some of those men, but they said they were lured.
I saw the report. I don't see Ramsey. I will be very straightforward in this.
Please be.
I saw this report where one of our brothers, God bless his soul, lost his life, and the family were told and communicated, and they had to do the burial. And we talked about the fact that he moved to Russia to fight the war. And I've seen this report on other news sites, and they say there are some intermediaries that talk to Africans and ask them if they want to come over to Russia with hopes that they will get jobs here, and so most of them move there, and at the end of the day they get conscripted into the Russian army to fight at the front lines, which are very dangerous position. But you are going to see in this, we could say, oh, they were deceived, but a lot of them know for real that what they are doing, they are fighting for sympathy. They are trying, the grass is not always greener on the other side. And this is one thing we have to be very clear about. You just like being in a family and you say, oh, that person's family is better than your family. What makes you feel it's better? By the time you enter that family, you will know the difference. There are many persons who have left Nigeria, and today they are calling people in Nigeria to send them monies to eat. It's not. I'm not saying that the other clients are not better, right? There are better opportunities, but it is not always greener. It is not the way it seems. You should be able to count your cost. Yes, count the cost, right? Russia is fighting a war with Ukraine, and they've even gotten people from North Korea to send to the front line. Is it Africans that they will not send to the front lines? Have you looked at the global pecking order? You should be able to analyze these things for yourself. So it's sad that the economic condition in our country is also a precursor to this thing. Because if things were working well, maybe we will not have this number. But if things were also working well, we'll still have people, because we've had people who are moving from the US. Just the other day, a soldier was arrested who moved from the US to China to teach the Chinese Air Force and they were arrested. So he was arrested.
At the end of the day, what I would say is it's not easy to be a man. It's a clear indication that it is not
to
easy.
To be a man is not a day's job. Thank God you're confirming to that.
No, because you know that
even to be a woman.
To be a woman is not. Even a woman will be there.
I like the balance. Thank you for training the balance. Is there. But it's a clear lesson to everyone. I mean, look inwards. Like he said, the grass is not always green at the other side. If you really want to, we all live for different purposes at the end of the day, right? If you think that I will find fulfillment, I mean, the beauty of life is that you die fulfilled. So if that is where you feel you find your fulfillment, why not? If not, but if what is driving you, your driving force, is coming from a place of insecurity, it's coming from a place of, this, I mean, it's coming from a vague place, then there's everything wrong about it. I mean, let your conviction be solid. Let your conviction come from a place of purpose. Let your conviction come from a place that, at the end of the day, you'll be happy. Whatever comes out of it, you will still, be satisfied. We should learn to be content. We have everything. I mean, everything. Forget about the economy of Nigeria. People are here. There are people in this part of the world that are making good success. So why don't you think you can be part of them? Why do you think you have to, cut corners and all of that on, just cut corners? No, look inwards.
All right.
That's what I was saying.
Let's look inwards on global journalists right now and draw the curtain at this point in time. Thank you very much, Priscilla. Well, I think I will have to bring the two of you on the global roundtable again because this is very interesting. Okay. Thank you very much, Priscilla, for joining us on the global roundtable. Thank you, Ubong Usoro, for joining us on global roundtable. All right, everyone. This is the size of global roundtable today. We will come on your way again. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.